Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim, and this week I wanted to take a look at some of the titles coming out in 2014 that I'm looking forward to the most. This is a brief list that's by no means complete or comprehensive, but with there being so many different announcement opportunities and conventions and expos and such like that coming up this year, it's good to sort of stop and take a minute and let's take inventory of what we know so far. The news stream is kind of slow, so this gives us a good chance to do it. In fact, if I missed your favorite game, go ahead and say so down below. Let's get a discussion going. Now that my ass is officially covered, let's dive into the ones that I can't necessarily show you trailer footage of. Thank you, Content ID rules. Titanfall, Smash Brothers, and New Yoshi's Island. Let me make this perfectly clear. 6v6, mechs that fall from the sky, with plenty of AI to destroy in the meantime, I am in. I am 100% in. There's nothing anyone can say that will make me go out. And I've always been a huge fan of the Smash Brothers games, so that one's kind of a no-brainer. And between that and the new Donkey Kong Country games that are coming out and another WiiU title that we'll talk about later on, I might actually have to buy one this year. Also, with my handy-dandy new 3DS, handheld games are back on the market. Yoshi's Island was one of the best games of the SNES era with its silly aesthetics and difficult platforming, so here's hoping that the 3DS sequel can kind of capture some of that magic. And speaking of 3DS hopeful hits, we in the West will finally, 2 years after its Japanese release, get a hold of Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Disappointingly, no American release date has been set, but those in Europe and Australia can expect it late in March. This game not only combines two of my favorite series, if you haven't played either of them, do yourself a favor and rectify that mistake right now, but it also combines their gameplay styles as well, with the adventure sections reflecting Layton-style puzzle solving, and the witch trial sections being Phoenix Wright press and present court battles that we all know and love. Here's hoping there will also be some wrenches and tweaks thrown into the mechanics to keep things interesting, but they're also adding in voice acting and fully animated cutscenes to carry along what will hopefully be a very compelling story. So I'd like to hear more news on this sooner rather than later. Coming up next, we have South Park and the Stick of Truth. Ever since the Nintendo 64, people have been clamoring for a game that makes you feel like you are part of the show. Like you live in South Park, Colorado. And according to Matt and Trey, so do they. And so, according to this wonderful behind-the-scenes footage, we can see that South Park Digital Studios, people who actually make the show, are working very closely with Obsidian Entertainment to recreate every detail of the town, making mechanics that are very fun and interesting to play with, and have already aired the Game of Thrones / Black Friday themed episodes that act as a prelude to the game. It's currently slated for a March 4th release date, with the EU and AU releases following shortly after. Next up is a game that kind of snuck up on everyone, Middleearth: Shadows of Mordor. Much like The Force Unleashed is to Star Wars, the time between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings books are a rich area for storytelling, which is exactly what this game looks like it plans on doing. While all we've seen so far is pre-alpha footage and gameplay, there are already many familiar mechanics shown off, and the resemblance to Assassin's Creed is undeniable. But unlike both of those games, there actually seems to be some sort of real innovation going on between the gameplay and combat mechanics, and its connection to the storytelling, quest generations, and the Nemesis system. And did I mention you have super cool Wraith Ghost type powers? We'll probably hear a little bit more information about this title soon, a release date, something, E3 maybe. Sticking in the realm of fantasy, we have The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Currently being developed by CD Projekt Red and WB Games, Witcher 3 is the conclusion of the series, and is the ending of the story of Geralt of Rivia, the most badass, cat-eyed lady and mythical creature slayer that's ever walked this side of Flotsam. Listen, The Witcher 2 is fine on the Xbox 360 and PS3, but the PC port blew both of those out of the water. And based on the in-game PC-based footage shown off so far, plus the always superb cutscene work of Tomasz Baginski, Witcher 3 stands to do the very same. This is another one of those times where I'm going to say if you've never played one of these games, then I highly recommend you go over to Steam or whatever your particular means of purchase is, and pick it up. I'm hoping for the same level of complex gameplay, stunning visuals, and intricate meaningful storytelling / decision making that I've come to know and love. And yes, I'll give you a minute to pick up your jaw. I needed it as well. Again, no exact dates have been specified, but I'm willing to wait until this baby's done, because I'm going to get all up inside it. And while we're on the subject of things creepy, Watch Dogs. Ubisoft, I'm counting on you to make an open world game that I might actually be able to get into. I really love the idea of having a living city with hackable technology everywhere. And a more recent gameplay video shows off mechanics such as the morale system with an actual impact, a little bit of the living world aspect of Watch Dogs, as well as what can happen when another player unknowingly enters your world. Unfortunately, as is the trend nowadays, there seems to be some kind of single-player content blocked out depending on which version you buy. So that kind of sucks. And Ubisoft's kind of starting from a deficit there. Here's hoping the game will be meaty enough without it, which by all indications so far, it will be. The tentative release date is sometime in May, so expect to hear more concrete details soon. As a little side note, I wanted to bring up Dark Souls 2. Now, I missed the boat on the first Dark Souls, but I've since gone back and given it a try. It's brutally difficult and completely unforgiving, so of course I love it. And the second offering looks to be the same, only more, which I can totally dig. The PC version is reportedly delayed till slightly after the console release, but hopefully still in March, so that way the PC could be a little bit better optimized this time around. Because that was one of the major complaints about the first iteration, was that the PC port, for lack of a better term, was kinda shite. Getting back on track, I wanted to talk about a few remakes that are coming up. Two big ones coming out this year, The Binding of Isaac Rebirth and Oddworld New and Tasty. That's right, the dark twisted world of Ed McMillan is about to get a little bit bigger, because he's working with developer Nicalis to come up with a complete remake/expansion of Binding of Isaac, taking it out of the Flash engine and moving it into a 16-bit style, and rebalancing all the existing rooms, enemies, items, as well as adding entire expansions worth of new ones. It's adding in local two-player co-op, and even a possible console port, but the research on exactly which ones is old and a little fuzzy. But this kind of process takes time, and they've yet to even commit to a release date on the actual PC platform, much less anything else, so we shall see. Oddworld New and Tasty, however, is something I've been waiting for a long time. That's right, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey is getting a major facelift. Nope, slightly more than that. It's more like a complete overhaul, as Oddworld inhabitants are recreating the entire game from scratch, using new 2D gameplay assets and 3D graphical models, allowing them to restore the game to the way you remember it, nostalgia goggles and all, as well as improve on some of those movement bugs that made the original a little frustrating. But more so than just this game, there's movement from the inhabitants over at Oddworld. I distinctly remember buying the original version on PlayStation, opening up the back of the book, and realizing that it was supposed to be a pentalogy. They were only able to make 2 out of the 5, so if this port goes well, maybe we might see the return of the Oddworldoddy? Spring's when you can look for this one. And rounding out our list is one last WiiU game, a game so incredible that when I first saw it, I thought somebody had to have been playing a prank on the entire internet. A game, you know what? I'm not even going to do that to you. I'm just going to tell you, it's Hyrule Warriors. No more burying the lead. This game had me floored from frame 1 of the trailer. This is what happens when you let a developer have fun with a Nintendo license. And no, we're not counting the other M. No one counts the other M. It's like someone reached into my dreams and got their Dynasty Warriors in my link, and I can never go back. And it looks amazing and fun and silly and wonderful and everything I've ever wanted. And I'm not saying the new title should take any sort of notes about the combat system. I'm just saying that maybe they should take notes about the combat system. Again, no official dates here, just 2014 sometime. So I imagine E3 is when we'll hear about this one too. So that's it for now. 12 games that are on my radar this year, some of which you might have already known about, some hopefully you didn't. And it's still very early in the year, so it'll be interesting to look back later on and see which ones actually lived up to the hype they had going into it, because that's half the danger of looking forward to things, is when they suck, you feel really bad. But I know this, regardless of your PC versus console status, regardless of your genre preferences, whether you choose a Steam machine or an Xbone, it's going to be a pretty good year for games. And for the people who take our money. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. You'll find relevant linkages to everything I talked about down below. I hope you've enjoyed this little look into the future, and here's hoping for another great year. As always, we'll see you next time.